Melody. It's been a while, right? Well, not in terms of playing. I play it almost every day. Well, whenever I stream, but also I play it every day personally because it's fun and it's great to get the combo off and save those clips. But yeah, so Melody, I haven't talked about it in a deck tech sense. So I thought we'd go through it a few different ways, right? Talk through some tips and tricks, some deck building. Now, again, I run a very, very bingo style version of Melody. There are some great alternatives out there with some proper lines of actual actionable play to actually make it a bit more competitive. Minnowism and Belittle is one of the big combos, or maybe making it a bit taller with the gold generating cards, Wage Gold, what's the other ones? Money Where Your Mouth Is, Test of Strength, Pummels, some actual big attacks to then lead into using Final Act and using a smaller combo Final Act. But I thought we'd go through some, optimistic Final Act runs where we try and go for the biggest damage possible, more consistent, and then we'll also, again, just talk about some card utilities that to enable more consistency, because that's a big thing with the deck, is consistency, because combo isn't a great thing in Fab. There is some search in some classes, but obviously Melody does not have access to a lot of search outside of, Encore and Final Act being in the graveyard. Now that is impactful, and we'll go over why, but I'm not going to run it in this setup just yet. Right now, this is pretty much perfect. We can still dead draw if we just brick on blues, but we should be able to show off probably the most consistent version of the combo, so a realistic top point, right, in terms of damage. So right, I'm going to find a game, hopefully find the right cards, and we'll show it off first. Okay, this might work. Again, it should be fairly consistent because we do have a hefty amount of draw. But so we have the gold from Crown Dominion, right, and we run 2 cash-ins. One with the gold, 1 to pay with in hand. Now, in terms of how many cards you need, technically 3, because currently we need 2 Final Acts, Final Act or Encore, and then we also need a way to give it go again. You could run the boot slot, but we're using Art of War, and Art of War doubles as just more card draw, so useful in that sense, right? Cycle plus then you get go again. But we'll start off using cash in, and we'll pitch for it instead of paying with the gold since we have the other one still, so no. And we'll pitch the eye so we can opt, and we want to keep an attack for the Art of War, so we get rid of unmovable. This allows us to see the next 2 cards. We do want our blues, but we want our draw engines a bit more consistently, so I'm going to bottom the both of them, especially since we're running a small deck at the moment. So we get Art of War, we have resources floating, so that's perfect. So we can go Art of War, we can banish, and then we can also take the go again already. So we get to banish Brothers in Arm, hopefully then draw into more draw. No, we still got an attack, so that's fine. So we can play the other Art of War, this time taking the buff for Final Act. It's not huge, but it's still something. Draw, cool, we didn't brick. All right, so we can cash out. We can then cash out every piece of equipment, which gets us 5 silver. Now, if we draw the other Final Act before the cash out, we're sad, right? We need to get another card in hand, basically. So you could run the gold as a safety net so that you have resources floating to at least play 1 Final Act. But again, we bingo. So we'll just start burning silver, stacking up the pitch, and hopefully draw. Nope, that's not it. Hopefully draw. No, okay, so we dead drawed. So now we can't play either, which is unfortunate. But if we had gone the cash out, well, it would look like more like this, right? So we've got a nice hefty pitch. This is about the maximum you could get consistently. Again, there's other ways to generate silver or more cards you could run to pitch. We didn't draw the Art of War, which is fine, because again, the Art of War would have just used that floating resource. It is actually a bit unfortunate because we can't pitch into the first Final Act. So this one is slightly weaker. But the big impactful thing to do is do not break the chain link, right? We're at a point in Flesh and Blood where I feel equipment is at its tankiest, and it's probably the main form of power creep the game has seen, where you have strong effects and you also have decent block. I mean, the majority of things nowadays get temper, right? So unfortunately, what that means is you really don't want to break the chain, because 15 breaking the chain into 17 is a lot less damage thanks to equipment than 15 into a 17. So using Final Act back to back, having Final Act in the graveyard to then search out with Encore and then go Final Act is really a significantly better play than Final Act Encore. And that's something I've learned the hard way, because a lot of times I've had to break the chain and then we've been slightly off on damage. So again, just super impactful to be able to do Final Act, not Final Act Encore. So at an early point in the game, right? Block with Final Act. Get 1 in the graveyard, right? Don't worry about it too much. It's still 3 resources overall, right? Again, we're in blue, so it's completely fine. You will have the correct amount of resources to pitch. In fact, even in that scenario where we didn't draw the Art of War for the slightly extra draw, we would have been able to play Encore if Final Act was in the graveyard, right? burn that resource, get Final Act, and then go into the combo. So to some extent, it's a little bit tiresome because you have to then look for specific cards, but then you also have a slightly higher odds because you can run 2 Final Acts and 2 Encores. You can then get rid of 1 Final Act, meaning you're now looking for 3 cards, or 2 out of 3 cards, 1 non-repeating. Again, math-wise, it should be slightly higher, just slightly. But either way, we did 15 and 17. Now, obviously that is decent damage. It's not huge. 32 feels like you could potentially KO the right opponents, but again, with temper, right, 2 defense per slot sometimes, that's already 8 block, and then in hand and arsenal, you know, say it averages out to 12, meaning you need to do about 40 points of damage to really consistently KO. But this is the realistic setup, right? We pitched everything we could. We got the maximum amount of silver we could. We got slight buff from, well, we didn't get the Art of War buff, but we got the go again from Art of War. Now, consistency, that's the big thing, because obviously, well, I can't show consistency because it's teleshare and everything's random. It might be worth me cracking up my deck and playing it on board, but we'll go through some techniques first. Okay, so how do we make the deck more consistent? That's the big thing. Well, it's having non-essential draw engines, basically, right? When I say non-essential, they don't actually help Final Act. So for instance, taking Tome, taking Art of War, taking even Cash In isn't directly impactful to Art of War, because most of the time we're trying to be card efficient with them, by which I mean we are trying to neutral draw. So when we banish card with Art of War, as long as we have resources floating, what that means is Art of War isn't a negative draw, right? Because we lose Art of War, we lose the card we banished, but we get 2 cards back. Same can be said for Tome and Cash In, again, off of the gold. Off the gold, it's one of the only ways to really go positive without, you know, stacking up a ton of gold, which is the main positive draw engine for Flesh and Blood at the moment. But yeah, so using the gold to pay for it, you go 1 card positive, which then offsets, again, the negative nature of either Tome or Art of War when you first start off, because, again, until you have resources floating, they are always going to be negative draw, right? Tome, you have to pitch 1 card, you lose Tome, that's neutral draw, that's fine. Art of War, you'd have to pitch, banish, and play Art of War, so that's a negative draw. So it's really impactful, again, either to float the resources off for Cash In, right, and then go into neutral draws, try and recoup cards, or go that card positive with 1 Cash In off the Crowned Dominion. The other great thing about Crowned Dominion is you can cash down, right, and silver is the big lifeblood of our damage for Final Act, and will be replaced by Chi and Nu and, well, I guess not Final Act, but Wide Blue Yonder in Mystic coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so the best way to make the deck more consistent is to find those neutral draw cards. Now, there isn't a ton of draw in Fab, right, because draw is super powerful, but there's enough, right? You take like Hope Merchant's Hood. I tried running it a little bit. The damage just wasn't there because you lose the ability, well, you lose 2 things. You lose the gold from Crown, right, for Cash In, and then you also lose the ability to cash it out, which does, you know, affect it. So statistically, it's better because you get to cycle your hand once to try and find the combo, but realistically, not so much. Then you also have, you know, Mischievous Meeps. If you can land the hit, you have Enlightened Strike. But then, again, this is more about cycling, thinking out the deck. You could Sift, but Sift is always a negative draw because you always lose Sift, right? Even though it's 0 cost, you lose Sift, and then you can cycle the rest of your cards. Snatch, there's all the normal goodies. But the big thing to really do is either play defensively and competitively, or go for bingo. And when we go for bingo, we love pick a card. So pick a card is actually a lot stronger than what I initially thought. So pick a card, look at your targets, look at your opponent's hand, name a card, and then if that card is randomly picked, however many times pick a card procs, you get silver. This is super impactful because just looking at your opponent's hand allows you to gauge whether or not you can go, I need to combo, I can't combo, I can survive 1 turn and then combo, right? So just having that knowledge as Melody, and again, trying to go for that 1 big swing turn where you normally have to take all the damage your opponent's going to dish out for 1 turn is super good. So usually, despite it not being blue, I will run all variants of pick card. And pick card, if you can get into the positive draw side of things, will then allow you to maybe generate silver on the fly. Now, obviously, if you get super lucky with all the pick cards, you could stack up a ton of silver. Off of the red picker card, right, it procs 4 times. So it says, repeat this process thrice. So obviously, I got confused by that, right? Because my brain don't work, so I'm good sometimes. But yeah, so thrice isn't 3 times, it's 4, 3, and 2, right? Meaning even the blue one is a lot better than you might think, right? Because it's a 25% chance per roll with 2 rolls, right? 25% chance with 3 rolls, and then 25% chance with 4 rolls. So, you know, not realistically, but statistically, high chance of this proccing, okay chance of this proccing, moderate chance of this proccing. So that's sort of backwards. Moderate, okay. Either way, I like running them all, and they have come in clutch a lot of times, right? Even if you draw them, you're more likely to play them and generate the silver, then continue with the chain. So I do like to run them in. And the other thing is they fill out your deck, because getting to a consistent card number that is impactful enough to play is also super important, right? So right now, everything fuels, well, technically fuels the draw with some decent block. Brother in Arms allows you to pitch, so you can pitch away your combo pieces and get decent block. Relative Rearguard allows you to discard. So again, you could discard Final Act to then be able to use Encore. And Unmovable, same thing, allows you to pitch away something that you want for later and do decent block. Now, there isn't as great block in blue, obviously, because blue is more about resource generation than stats. But taking some of these cards is definitely super helpful. So, you know, we might as well look at the main version of the deck that I run rather than me rebuilding it from scratch. So again, very bingo centric. And this is it. So again, Tunic, not super impactful. Gambler's Gloves for the disruption, but also again, we don't really care for equipment. It's more about just getting rid of it, right, with cash out. Now, Tome is the point of iffiness, right? Because Tome and Mage Master is okay, again, for thinning out your deck, for cycling, for trying to dig that little bit deeper to find the combo. It's definitely impactful, but also then being able to just cash out and get silver, probably a bit more impactful, right? Because it's guaranteed to improve Final Act. It's also searching 1 card deeper, right? Tome is 2, so it's a little bit better, but only slightly. But then also, again, that cost basis, because right now, right, we're at 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you run an Encore, you put in a Tome and Mage Master, and you're at 11, which means it requires a whole nother blue, and a whole nother blue that could end up being negative draw off of pitching into cash in, right? Then it works out perfectly. So that's why I only run 1 Tome, not 2 Tomes. Again, there's a little bit of math behind it, but the main thing is just silver generation, cycling, and then having defensive cards. At least my version of the deck. Again, Minimalism and Belittle is a wonderful combo to allow you to actually search cards, right? Restock with a blue. Wage Gold for the ability to encore it back into hand, turn a yellow into blue is also impactful enough. But again, speed is your friend, I feel, for Melody, because there's not really much else going for the deck, right? Especially if you're trying to Final Act. And if you're not trying to Final Act, then it goes back to, well, why are you playing Melody, right? That's my perspective at the very least. Because, again, you know, there's not that many Bard cards. You're not even using your hero ability. I mean, it's Melody, but it's not really Melody. It's literally just Bard. And if any normal Bard comes out, it's going to be significantly better than Melody, unfortunately, right? Despite us loving Melody. So yeah, that's my perspective at the very least. But Belittle, Minimalism definitely works, right? I've done enough mirror matches to see that. I think what we'll do is we'll see what the theoretical highest damage is. And the best way to do that is obviously with in-person cards where I can stack the deck and rig it however I like. Okay, so we're all set up. Let's see if I've cheated correctly. Now, we have Crown Dominion, the gold token, right? Blossom of Spring, I like the art. Again, the chest slot doesn't really matter. It's somewhat impactful. It's close to a Spring Tunic, but obviously Spring Tunic's better since using the effect doesn't cause it to be destroyed. Mage Master for Tome of Ferendale, again, to dig deeper in our deck. And then the Null Rune Gloves, right? Gambler's Gloves, whatever. Depending on the matchup, you can take something defensive, arcane. Most likely, though, you don't want Iron Rod or Frontline or Iron Hide because they all have destruction effects and you really want to cash them out. Then we just have Jinglewood as our weapon. Usually I'd run Talishare, but I couldn't find a copy anywhere within reach. This was with the deck. Melody, and some silver tokens, right? For whatever we need. Now, perfect starting hand, basically, is actually running amulets. And the reason for that is amulets have go again, meaning, for instance, with this starting hand, we have 3 amulets and the Imperial Ledger, right? All stay on board, all can be used for cash out, or can be procced for their own effects. Amulet Intervention helps us survive a lethal attack. Echo, just decent disruption. Cremation, not really impactful. Yeah, not really impactful at all, but still an amulet, still go again. And the Ledger, if we can proc it, if we have to stall for a turn, gets us another gold token, which is impactful. So, obviously our turn is basically just play every single one of them, right? And we're done. And then we get to draw 4 more. We don't get anything to the arsenal, but it's fine. The next 4 cards are, of course, stacked in our favor. So we have ourselves a Tome, a Nasty Surprise, a Cash In, and an Unmovable. this allows us to start our sequence, right? We have our board pretty much set up. Now, with the amulets, basically you can run a ratio of them in your deck to try and get, 1 to 2 of them in your opening hand without just making your deck garbage because they have no block. But, right, 4 on board is nice. So, how do we start our draw sequence? Well, again, it's about just evening out the numbers. So, for instance, with the Mage Master Boots, Tome, and a resource floated, we can then play cash in for the other blue. So that's basically what we're doing, right? So, proc the Mage Master. They get destroyed, so unfortunately we can't cash them out, so we will put them in the graveyard, just so we remember that. We float any blue, doesn't matter. Primarily keep attacks, again, for Art of War. So we're floating 2 resources now. We can play Tome, has the go again, thanks to the Mage Master Boots. So that allows us to then draw 2 more cards, a Final Act, and a Farindel's Fighting Spirit, again, stacked in our favor. Right, with the 1 floating, we can then play cash in off of the Nasty Surprise, saving our gold token for the next one. So cash in, draws us 2 more. We get ourselves an Art of War and another blue. This allows us to play the Art of War, floating 2 resources, banishing the Farindel's Fighting Spirit, and drawing 2 more, as well as gaining the Go Again effect. So what I'm going to do is just leave that on board, so we know that the effect is triggered. Now, next cash in, we need to restock our hand. So we can cash in off of the gold. So we sack the gold token, we play cash in, not in the pitch, in the graveyard, right? And that allows us to then draw 2 more cards. So another Art of War and a cash out. I've screwed this up. Shouldn't be Art of War yet. No, actually it shouldn't have been Final Act. It should be a different blue. And just like that, proper hand, right? So now we can go ahead and play the Art of War. Again, floating the resources off the immovable, banishing the Nasty Surprise, drawing ourselves 2 more cards, and this time taking the buff. And now we have a blue into a blue, which is much better. So now we can play cash out. Cash out for 0 allows us to cash out 4 and 4 for 8, right? So we get 8 silver off of destroying all our equipment and talismans. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. They can all just go to the graveyard for now. And now we can basically start our draw sequence. We have the 2 floating, which will eventually be Final Act into Final Act. And we have the Art of War for Go Again and the Art of War for the buff. So basically it's just draw 8 times, pitch 8 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And remember, this one would actually be in our hand. So then on the 8th proc of the silver, right, that would go to the pitch, and we'd end up with 2 Final Acts in hand. All the silver's been used, all the equipment's been used. We've drawn perfectly. We've drawn a ridiculous amount of cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? About a quarter of our deck. It's not the most insane draw that I've had, but yeah, pretty sizable, right? And then we get to double Final Act. So Final Act on the same combat chain, meaning that your opponent's equipment can't be double blocked with. We get the +1 on both of them thanks to the Art of War, and damage-wise, they are doing 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, right? Because double the pitch. So 22, 23, 24, 24. So we're doing 48 damage, but again, the stars practically have to align. But at 48 damage, I would say that the Final Act is enough to properly KO. Now, again, you can use stuff like pick a card to try and extend the silver. The amulets are a good idea, not a great idea. Again, they're just dead draws later on in the game, right? I think having a ratio of 1 in your opening hand would be fine. So that's still running roughly 8 to 10 amulets, how much you want to push the chance, the odds of you drawing it. Again, right, so 140, then 139, 138, 137. You can do the odds, you can figure it out, but it is still decent. You can also cut out the tome, have the boots, be able to cash out for that 1 extra silver, for that bit more damage. But again, then you can't get as far into your deck, right? So even with this sequence, as perfectly as it has gone, right, it's still less than 20 cards, meaning that generally you'd want to play slowly, you'd want a turtle, and you want to just try and really cycle through your deck. And that's where cards like Unmovable come in handy. So Unmovable, decent block on blue. Same with Brothers in Arms, right? You can cycle away stuff you want. Even Rally the Rearguard to discard, just to thin out your hand, and then turn, most 2 blocks into a 3 block for it. Still blue, still in our pitch zone. Farindel's Fighting Spirit, we're most likely going to be lower as well, so also useful. And then, of course, pick a card. And the other amulets, there are some fun effects with the amulets, but overall, there you go. That would be close to the perfect sequence. Again, throw in some picker cards to really ramp up. But what you'll also notice is our hand was perfect, right? So in other words, we lost the right amount of cards, we drew the right amount of cards, we ended up with 2 final acts in our hand. We didn't have any real wiggle room. Now, obviously, the arsenal slot does come into play. With 1 final act in the arsenal, it does open it up a little bit more, but then that means on your turn, you have to basically have a final act in your arsenal. You then have to be okay with taking a turn of damage from your opponents and then not disrupting the arsenal. Now, it being destroyed is fine because you can use Encore to get it back, but it is still a big gamble, and then you go back to requiring a perfect hand size again, right? Because we used both cash-ins, 1 pitch, 1 to go positive. We used Art of War and Tome in combination with other resources so that they were neutral draw. Well, in fact, we ended up still minus draw because we didn't have 4 cards at the end, right? We had 3. So altogether, it is very close for comfort, basically. But fun nonetheless, right? And again, very bingo-ish. Anyway, I hope that was a good enough demonstration. And have fun with your Melody combos. See ya.